Hello everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar, Building Customer Engagement, Get Innovative, Get Proactive, Get a Voice. My name is Chelsea and I'll be your host for our webinar today. Before we get started, we have a couple of housekeeping items to walk through. Our webinar today will run about 50 minutes, with 5 to 10 minutes for questions at the end. All questions will be facilitated through the chat window that should appear on the right side of your screen. You may submit questions or comments at any time during the presentation. All questions will be addressed during the allotted time for Q&A. We will have some polls for you to participate in today. The polls will appear on the right side of your screen near the chat window for 1 minute. Simply select your answer by checking the appropriate box. Your answer will be highlighted in dark blue. To complete the poll, click Submit. Now we'll pass it off to our MC for today. Deb Smallwood is the founder of Strategy Meets Action and is highly respected throughout the insurance industry for her strategic thinking, thought-provoking research, and advisory skills. Insurance and solution providers turn to Deb for insight and guidance on business and IT linkage, IT strategy, architecture, and e-business. She is a frequent contributor to leading insurance trade journals and has been a keynote speaker at major conferences. Deb will also be joined by co-presenter Tara Kelly, President and CEO of Splice Software. As a sponsor for today's webinar, I'd like to thank Tara and Splice for helping to put this together.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. Okay, we ready to get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Deb Smallwood, and thank you, Chelsea, for the great introduction. I'm thrilled to be here and partnering with Splice on today's webinar. The topic is really relevant and it's critical to all insurers around building customer engagement. And it really is around how to really leverage some of this new technology that's available and how to focus our attention and our priority on customer experience and customer engagement to just boost the bottom line, right, to help with our top line growth and our bottom line profitability. Today we're really going to focus on 3 important and pretty significant concepts. The first one's going to be around innovation. It is absolutely vital to all industries and all companies, and yes, even the insurance industry and insurers, to innovate. Change is absolutely all around us, and there are many external influencers in external industries that are really changing the game on customer experience, customer demands, and customer expectations. So the pressure is on insurers to really rethink and re-engage and re-engineer the customer experience and really become innovative. The next focus is really going to be on customer engagement. And customer engagement is really around improving the customer experience, focusing on customization, personalization, creating that high touch, and really mapping to the new demands and to be proactive with your customer rather than react when they come on board or when they come to you. And the third element that we're going to talk about today is really around voice technology. What I have found and what I thought was really fascinating when I was briefed with Splice's technology, how advanced the technology is, and it's more than just voice technology. So we're going to talk a little about how to leverage that technology to boost the customer experience and how to get a voice. So my goal today is really for both Tara and I to provide you with some research, a perspective, some information around those 3 things: innovation, customer engagement, and voice. And hopefully you get some takeaways that you can bring clarity to your organization and clarity about maybe some next steps. So let's see if we can move the slides forward. Could you pass the control, please? Thank you. Before I start, let's talk a little about SMA. SMA is a strategic advisory firm. We've been in business for over 7 years. I am the founder of the company, and when I started the company, it was really around the mission to help insurers make wise technology investments that will enable business value. And we do that by advising, writing research, influencing the industry, influencing some of the solution providers out there in their product roadmaps, and ultimately help propel the industry to move forward by leveraging all this new and advanced technology. We got a variety of services, and every year we have our annual event. So any insurers that are on the call would like to come as our guests to the SMA Summit on innovation, just let me know, send me an email. So as I mentioned in my opening, I'm going to be focused on the portion of the webinar around innovation and defining the customer experience, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tara, who's going to really drill down into the technology itself and the capabilities that are available. So let me start off by innovation and discussing innovation in the context of insurance. Innovation is absolutely a journey. It's not a one-time event. We believe that innovation is around rethinking, reimagining, retooling, redesigning a product, a process, a role that ultimately becomes either a game changer or actually can change the experience of a customer or change an experience of an employee. So when you put it in the context of customer and customer experience, really innovation will allow us to think differently about our customers and how they really want to experience us as a service provider and someone that's providing risk coverage. What we're finding in the industry is that many are looking for more of that, not necessarily game changer, but changing the experience. So a couple of examples, Apple and their product suite, right, their iPods and the iPads and the iPhones, those are game changers. They've changed industries. They've changed the way we interact with phones that are now mobile, and it's really just, it's introduced all new industries and actually put havoc on some industries. But the other example of innovation where it really is just changing the experience can be very simple. And so when you think about customer experience, think of this analogy. Think of a suitcase. So suitcases have been around for thousands and thousands of years. People have transported their goods from one place to another via a suitcase. About 25 years ago, an airplane pilot actually put two wheels on a suitcase, put it on its side, two wheels, extended the handle. So really took the framework of a suitcase and really didn't change it and put a couple of wheels and really created and really revolutionized the travel industry and making it a lot easier to bring your bag on the plane and to not have to schlep your bag through the airport. So when you think about customer experience and you think about your roles and your processes and your product offerings, what two wheels can you absolutely put on those processes? And again, innovation is a journey. We're seeing about 80% of insurers saying that they're doing some level of innovation, where only 20 have formal processes or an innovation officer or a team exclusively looking at innovation. The next slide, I'd like to just put this quote up. This summer I ran across this quote, and it really took me by surprise. It made me take a step back and think about, wow, what is really happening all around us, because the pace of change is very significant. And it's a Bill Gates quote, and he says, we always overestimate the change that will occur in the next 2 years, and we underestimate the change that will occur in the next 10. Don't let yourself be lulled into inaction. So just quickly, let's think about this. So what does this mean? Back 2 years ago, where we overestimated change, right? There was big hype on cloud, big data, analytics, a lot of noise. And in reality, it was hype, right? The industry's moving a lot slower than we thought, and we haven't made the progress from 2012 to 2014 that we thought we would. But let's go back 10 years. 2004. There was no Facebook. Maybe at a couple of colleges. My daughter was in college, and she and maybe 5 other universities had Facebook. It didn't have 1 billion members. There was no real social media, no iPhones, no iPads, no mobile applications, no GPSs in your mobile device. I don't even know 10 years ago if we even had GPSs in our cars or even GPS devices. And just a short amount of time, I think the iPhone came out 7 years ago, so much has changed. So let's go fast forward. 2 years from now, 2016, I think there's still going to be hype on innovation. I still think there'll be some hype in terms of customer experience, but I think we're going to see small projects and small movement as an industry. But if you go out to 10 years to 2024, it will look like a different industry. There'll be new entries, there's going to be new products, there's going to be new services. Our use in the next 10 years of analytics and big data and personalizing our interactions with our customers is going to be significant. We're going to leverage a lot of the emerging technologies that are going to be here, and customer service and customer experience will be the way we do it. They will completely change, and we'll have new table stakes that will be out there. So I encourage you all not to be lulled into inaction, get started, and to take action. At SMA, every year we develop the top 10 imperatives. This is a list. We've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. I mean, we believe that these are the initiatives that every single insurer should at least think about and have on their 3 to 5 year roadmap. These are the strategic initiatives that will really create the differentiation and really actually help win in the marketplace. And let's just step through a couple of them really fast. And the center is really to innovate. Innovate to become the next-gen insurer. We talked about innovation, right? The big blue ring around the top 10 imperative diagram are the next-gen technologies. That's big data, that's analytics, that's cloud, it's social, it's using telematics and collaboration technology to leverage these new, well, they're very mature technologies across the enterprise. You can see highlighted in orange is capitalize on customer experience. This has been on this chart for at least 3 years, where we find that many companies do have strategic initiatives around the customer experience. A couple of other ones worth noting on here are the commitment to dynamic distribution channels. That's around 2 o'clock if you were to view this as a clock. It's about omni-channels. It's about expanding and expanding your portals and your connectivity to customers and agents and all stakeholders and third parties to be fluid. Another one that's key is down around 7 o'clock, develop a unified digital platform. Everything is digital. So our communication with our customers should be digital if they choose not to want paper. And even when you look at voice technology, it is really a digital asset. And the last one I'll mention is core systems, this embrace core transformation power. Most carriers, it's a key project where they're implementing policy billing claims and looking to create that foundation. If you don't have your core right, it's very difficult to do a variety of things, especially if you don't have access to your policy billing and claims data. So let's go ahead and let's start with the first poll. So I know most of you on the line, you have many, many top priority initiatives going on, but what is the number one? So if I would sit in front of your CFO or your CEO or your CIO, what would they say is your top initiative? Is it core system replacement? Is it something around customer experience, customer engagement, and that could be a variety of different things. It could be from marketing, it could be from sales, it could be from ease of looking at contracts. Is it a digital strategy? Is it looking at your web presence and looking at your branding and looking at your mobile and your whole digital components and developing a strategy? Is it around business intelligence and analytics? Or is it around omni-channel, expanding your channels and portals? Or is it just something else that we may not have on here? So let's take a minute. I encourage you all to participate. A lot of you sometimes are shy. We're not going to be able to do that. So let's take a look at the results. Can we post those out, please? Okay, I think we may have some technical difficulties here. Why don't we just move forward? Oh, here we go. Well, this is great. So many people didn't answer, but this is interesting. Those that answered all said customer experience. So bravo to the people that came on. Clearly you're on this because customer experience is a top priority, so that's really great. So let's look at SMA's research. This past year we have our ecosystem. If you could, there we go. Last year this past year we have our annual ecosystem, and we run the same research every year. I think we've been doing it for about 5 years. And we ask the same question: what's your #1 strategic initiative? And you can see that the audience is a lot broader, and that core system replacement, 35% did say that that was the #1 initiative. But #2 was the customer experience engagement. So that's real encouraging. It really aligns to the results that we have here. So let's think about and let's discuss customer experience from a conceptual level. You know, at SMA we do a combination. We have a lot of conceptual diagrams like the top 10 imperatives, and we've got this one on customer experience. And then you can see from the last chart, sometimes we actually have quantitative type of survey data. This one really shows about the whole customer experience component. So when you start to develop a customer experience strategy, you know, what are the aspects of it? And there are really 4 major components that surround the customer. And they're very interwoven. They're brand, value, relationship, and communication. They're interwoven, and they're extremely dependent on one another, and they're somewhat fluid that they overlay each other. But I would say that the scope, when you think about customer experience, can be extremely broad, right? Branding and value, value for price, product development, alignment, relationships, communication. But the great part about customer experience initiatives is that you can think big, but you can start really small. You can start to nibble away and have significant impact on the customer experience, one element at a time. All it takes is that one touch point when a customer interacts with you, either voice or through paper or through a face-to-face contact, that could make all the difference in the world. And customers interact with us usually when there's a change in a policy, possibly unless they're working through an agent, maybe a billing issue, and during claims. So let's just quickly step through these for a moment. The top left-hand around brand, I mean, brand is so powerful. It's your image, it's your look and feel, it's your reputation. When someone says the name of your company, they're going to either think thumbs up or thumbs down. They're either going to think happy thoughts or they're really going to see negative ones. And our world around brand has gotten so complex with the aspect of social media because it's another element that can really help or really hurt your brand. The next is around value, and it's really around aligning your products, your services to price, and finding that right balance that's for you, and making sure that we're fulfilling our obligations to help people manage their risk for the future. The next one is around relationships. Customers want personalization. They want a personalized, customized relationship when they talk to anyone or interact with anyone. Nothing is more frustrating to get something from your agent or something from your insurer, either a voice message or a piece of paper or a text that is totally irrelevant to you, like talking about winter storm warnings when you live down in Florida. I mean, it's just not applicable. And then the last is communication. And this is where it's either digital, it's either voice, it's customer documents, it could even be communication through agent or call center, but every single touch point to your customers has to be flawless and really enforce your brand, your value, your relationship. So paper, face, phone, voice, emails, text, all have to have flawless execution. But as I said, you can think broadly with your customer experience strategy, but you can actually start small. At SMA, one of the differentiations I think that we have with some of the other analyst firms is when we look at technology, we like to start with a conceptual diagram that we just talked about, but we like to hone in on business capabilities and technology capabilities, because you really have to think when you're thinking about your strategy, what do you want to achieve and what are the core capabilities before you get into detailed requirements. And so they're listed here in this orange bubble. The first one, and I just mentioned it, it's around personalize and customize. I know that as a consumer, my tolerance level, as I just mentioned, is extremely low. I know the power of data and analytics. I know the power to be able to connect the dots when anyone or any company is actually interfacing. So your mass marketing, you need to be very, very specific. We need to start to capture, and I know a lot of systems, core systems, have the constraints, but we need to start capturing upon quoting and issuing of contracts what their preferences are. How do they want to be communicated? How would they like to get notifications? How do they want to get notifications, warnings, just normal communications like your deck and your schedule or your contract? How do you want in a claims process want to be able to be notified in terms of status or if there's questions? So this all needs to start to be captured. The other capability that we need from a customer engagement, customer experience is around adaptable, flexible. So the world and expectations continue to change. Our technology continues to change. And whatever we pick for a strategy and whatever we pick for technology platforms, they need to be easily adaptable, easily flexible, and be able to change parameters, change the data integration very, very easily. The third is efficient and effective. I mean, those are standard requirements. And the last is differentiation. You need differentiation. We live in a very competitive world. There's not a lot of growth. So again, that customer experience and those touch points, they have to be memorable. They have to be favorable. They have to be positive. And so this is where you've got to be able to differentiate, especially to create that loyalty that we're all looking for. So on the flip side, in order to achieve those business capabilities, what are the technology capabilities? And for this conversation, we believe, at a very high level, there's 6 major types of technology enablement. At the bottom at 6 o'clock is the omni-channel. We believe that you need to create some type of platform that allows that anytime, any device, anywhere type of communication with any stakeholder, any customer, any agent, to be able to pass information and be able to communicate, and that would be the omni-channel. To the left and right of that is around data and content and that personalization that we talked about and the use of big data and analytics and BI. That's absolutely essential in today's world. That will give us our dynamic, real-time, some personalization. Next is ECM and CCM. So ECM is Enterprise Content Management. That's imaging and scanning. That's a lot of inbound from your customers, but we're also seeing that a lot of insurers are using Enterprise Content Management for outbound communications as well. And CCM is Customer Communication Management. So that would be the production of claims correspondence. It could be a marketing letter. It could be a deck and schedule. It could be a life contract. But that's more of your outbound, digital, paper. It could even be text messages and things like that. And last, the 6th technology is voice. And this is just really another technology that actually completes this whole spectrum of technology enablement. So I'm going to go into a little more detail in a couple of slides on voice. And together, collectively, it really creates a powerful customer experience, customer engagement. So let's drill down just a little more about voice. As I mentioned in my opening when we had the briefing with Splice, I actually went, wow. Wow, has voice technology really matured? We're not talking about bleeding edge. We're talking about a proven technology of the voice, the advanced voice technologies that's being used extensively in other industries. And that day of getting either a voice message or with IVR that it's robotic, it's sterile, it's word to word, very neutral, they don't know who I am, there's no integration with any data, those days are gone. And what we see is that the voice technology today can really support those business capabilities that we had talked about. And what I find really fascinating, I'm going to somewhat personalize my interpretation of the advanced technology, is that they no longer store words and try to craft the sentence with words. There's very advanced linguistics, and they're actually creating phrases now. And I want to relate this to my grandson, who is 2 years old, and for the last 2 years, I've watched his language development skills. I guess when I had my children, I was too busy to watch it. I guess I'm a little clearer now as a grandparent, but what I watch my grandson do is when he's learning words, when he says words and he tries to string the words together, it's very robotic and it's not natural. What I'm finding as my grandson, he's saying phrases, and I can really relate to the Splice technology because the phrases, he'll say like, where did it go? What happened? No, thank you. Now, he does not know he's saying phrases. He thinks he's saying a word, but it's interesting how I can just really relate it to the technology. So I hope you don't mind me sharing that story and tell you that it's pretty sophisticated stuff. So when we think about voice today, it's just not the voice technology and the phrases and stringing words together. It's really integrating in real time with your data and your analytics, creating that dynamic feed into the voice of the insurer, and personalizing it. And what we're seeing is that voice is a really great way, out of all the capabilities that you need, a way to have a really high-touch capability to really change that customer experience and really influence brand and value and communication and relationship. So when we look at voice and we look at all the capabilities, it's very applicable across the whole value chain. And you can see here what we have is the value chain. So some examples. So marketing, if you had a really dynamic marketing campaign that could really determine and connect with your policy admin system to be able to do quotes, wouldn't it be really cool to be able to have voice technology call prospects or even call your customers on a renewal and say, let me give you information about your new renewal. It's going to be renewed at X amount of dollars. We're going to keep all coverages intact, and just streamline that rather than send a 25-page, I mean, you still have to send the 25-page document, but wouldn't that be a really nice high touch? Or how about in servicing when there's an issue with your policy? As the founder and owner of Strategy Meets Action, our work comp policy, we did some endorsements and they were out of sequence and they had to cancel and rewrite. And I got paper, many different papers, totally out of sequence from my insurer telling me they were canceling, and then I got 2 days later a letter that said that they were reinstating, a phone message telling me why they were doing it and what they were going to do, and the sequence of artifacts and documents I was going to get would have been really wonderful. And last, in terms of billing or claims, being able to use voice technology to alert people if something is late or give them claim status. That capability is absolutely all there. So let's just take a moment and let's see where we are on your use of technology. So what customer experience technology, we talked about, I grouped them somewhat together. You can see What technology is your company thinking about investing in, or some combination? So we have voice. I grouped CCM and ECM. Remember, that's customer communication and enterprise content management. Then we had the omni-channel, and then I grouped all the data, content, BI, and analytics. So which ones are you investing in? And if you could also, if you're investing in multiple, that would be great too. It'll give us a good pulse of what's going on and where people are thinking to invest. So why don't we go ahead and run that. Got a couple of more seconds here. On this technology, if I had to place bets, it's probably more than one technology or any kind of combination. Okay, let's see if we can push out the results. It's exactly right. So some are investing in omni-channel and data and content, and most people are having more than one technology. Okay, great. So I'd like to just end. Let's see if we can pass control back over. Well, I'd like to just really conclude my portion of the webinar, and it's really our calling card, the call to action. So in summary, what I'd like you to do is really accept that innovation and change is all around us, and acknowledge that innovation is a journey, and that it's not significant investments. You can make small investments. As we see from the survey and from our results, customer experience initiatives are a top priority for many insurers. And absolutely think big. You've got to think big, but I encourage you all to think small. And in the context of today's topic, I encourage you to look at voice. It could be a very easy way, fast way to really enhance the customer experience. So thank you for your attention. What I'd like to do is turn it over to Tara Kelly. Tara is the founder, president, and CEO of Splice Software. Tara has a passion for enabling clients to engage in a meaningful, data-driven dialogue with their customers. As a serial entrepreneur, Tara's expertise is multidimensional, but focused on creating businesses that use technology to enhance operations, services, and customer experience. All set, and here you go. Take it away, Tara.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and I think we covered some really great material. Splice is really a company that is completely dedicated to that customer experience. And as a cloud-based company, we are completely committed to using your data to drive that experience. And ultimately, we come together on a simple belief that it can be better. And if you believe your customer experience can be better, if you're driving towards that, then we're a great choice to look at as a partner. We've been around now for quite a while, over 8 years. We've been one of Canada's fastest growing companies, and we're really excited about the growth that we're seeing in the U.S. And the many customers coming through. It's about using a human voice, and as Deb referred to, using phrase libraries and really giving them that opportunity. Increasing customer satisfaction is just a natural outcome, and of course, having flexibility. It can be a managed service, it can be full service, and that's what you want to really see from your providers. And there's kind of another piece of secret sauce that we genuinely love to call out, is you're able to use a customized caller ID, because the interaction really starts the moment that that phone rings in your customer's hand or in their home. So we really rely on 4 main trends in innovation to make this happen. And when you talk about ways to really deliver change and value, we feel that big data is absolutely where it's at. But more than just big data, it's about small data, and that's profile-based information as well as consent. Then it comes down to that linguistic optimization that we talked about. And linguistic optimization is where you have the opportunity to take those data points and change them into meaningful phrases that matter to your client. And the way that we do that is crowdsourcing. So now that we have cloud everywhere and we have a much more scalable infrastructure, we're literally able to create libraries that are exponentially larger because they're phrases, but we're able to do that thanks to crowdsourcing. And then strategic message creation, ensuring that every phrase and every segment is actually built just for that client. So here's an example of one of the scripts that we would use. And I think it's really important as you try to get into it and say, how is this different? How are we really powering this with data? How does it come together? You're going to look at a greeting, and we actually host over 10,000 first names in multiple languages, multiple dialects. You know, Spanish in California is not the same as Spanish in Florida, and it's important that we talk to the customer in a really local way that resonates. And so we're going to cover that. We're going to make sure that we're hitting your database with 90% first name recognition, and if not, we're going to make a choice together to determine if a general greeting is okay or if it's not, and we'll raise the bar. Bringing it then to an intro statement, of course, ensuring who you are and why you're calling, and then a sentiment phrase and the call to action. And this is an area that might actually use 2 or 3 data points to create that experience for the customer. Compliance is part of it. There's different rules in every state, in every country. There's federal rules and state rules, and we're definitely very accurate about the total compliance of all of it, and then our supporting information, and of course the caller ID. So maybe we'll take a quick listen to what it would feel like to have a personalized script created for a single client. Give it a second as it cues.
Hi, Jane. This is Sarah at ABC Insurance here in Chicago at 1.3. I have a quick update regarding the auto claim that you submitted today. Your claim has been received, and we are starting to process your remittance. We promise to send you an update by email within the next 4 hours. If you'd like to repeat this message, please press 1. Did you know that you can conveniently submit claims through our mobile app? Go to www.abcinsurance.com/app to learn more and install to your mobile device. At ABC Insurance, we strive to deliver the best claims experience possible and want to thank you for your continued business. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, perfect. So I'd like to call out a couple things. There's different areas where you say, okay, well, how is this one unique? If we go to the part where we promise to send an email, if we're going to do that, it's really important that we're pulling from your data the email column and ensuring that you have an actual active email on file for that client. If not, maybe we tell them, but we mailed out a status update. Maybe we let them know that we sent them a link via text. These things are all pulled from the data that you have. They're called profile-based data for your client. And things like that 4-hour difference, calling out the moment it happens, creating a higher degree of touch for your customer and more assurance in that system. If we know we're calling out to a mobile number and we know that they don't have the mobile app, we can invite them to download it. And so this message has been crafted with what we call linguistic optimization to ensure that we're using the data you have on file to create the best possible experience for that customer. And really, when we go to build that audio, a lot of things come into play. It's not just a CSV file that you send us, but it's data from multiple sources. So it starts with the stuff that belongs to brand interaction, and that's whether or not that you think a single voice is right for the entire brand for your company, or that you would like to have different regional dialects or different messaging depending on a department. But the brand interaction happens in the store, and that knowledge is important as it comes into the Splice messaging. Then we have customer list and profile-based information. Then, of course, there's permissions, there's preferences, and your corporate rules. Some customers might only want to be notified, let's say in a claim status update, when something's changed. But there might be other people that would like a notification every week, even if nothing's changed, just to keep them informed. And so you have the opportunity to continue to grow your program to reach higher levels of individual ways of managing the customer relationship. These events can be based on what we call a data-driven event, or they can be scheduled. And so perhaps you guys have just launched a new mobile application, or you've made a major change within your policy and claims due to crazy weather conditions that we're all seeing everywhere. And so you're going to have some major significant changes, and you're mailing everybody in your database a new policy update. That might be an event-driven type of call. However, something like late payment reminder is going to be something that's more data-driven out of your schedule. And so the system is built to handle either. And because we're hosting all of those human voice libraries in the cloud, they're available for you at any time, and we can continue to grow them as your data needs change. And then, of course, it comes together for that personalized script. Sometimes we look to other industries and to really look at where is innovation coming from. Sometimes you got to step out and look at something that looks completely different than your norm to say, where can I win? And as I thought a lot about this webinar today and who we'd like to talk about and share from all of our customers, Lazy Boy kind of came to mind for me. And I think it partly stems from the fact that this is a brand that had a fairly old reputation and needed to reinvent itself a little bit. There was a little bit of a stigma attached. And so here is a company that managed to change with time but not lose the brand essence and all the value that they've built. And I could see a lot of parallels with certain insurance companies on wanting to maintain the legacy value of the brand but still be relevant and hip today. And so when we look at this, we had an amazing time with this customer. They recently won a Superstar Award for retail store operations. And this is actually for a VIP loyalty program we put together. But the program was all stemmed around keeping a promise and delivering real-time communications in an efficient way. Now for these guys, it was about doubling traffic to their store, their retail, and getting a 467% increase in sales. Okay, who wouldn't want that? Referenceable client, something we can do. But as we enter in the insurance market and we gain more and more clients around financial service and insurance, these are the kind of wins that we want to have together. We want to understand the vision of what our partners and the companies we work for are doing and make sure that we deliver that home. I believe that inside of the data you win story for years on your customer are the secrets of how they really want to be talked to. And together we can be another piece of your tool belt that really drives these kinds of amazing results. So use cases for insurance can be things like a welcome message. Maybe this is an area that you feel like it's just not where it needs to be. You can create a greater brand relationship and, of course, reduce churn. Maybe it's about claim status updates. Those are those things that are happening. This is the time they need to be taking care of the most during this part of their policy. And so wherever it is within that value chain, as Deb referred to, whether it's marketing promotion or it's, claims and payout or billing and collections, and, therefore late reminders, there's a lot of opportunities naturally within that customer life just to take communication to a more personalized level. Here's a little bit of an example of how does this really work. One of my favorite questions is often, okay, so I've got this customer and they're so happy and they're so excited that they have this great voice experience. Well, now what? Well, this is the now what. So through this engine that we talked about, we bring in all this data to create this voice experience. And now we're aware that an event is happening. So let's look at a customer called Jane. Jane's out walking her dog, having a nice Saturday afternoon stroll. And all of a sudden her phone rings. And she's like, oh, what's that? At this point, this means nothing to Jane. She has a quick look, and she sees on her caller ID, it's her insurance company. She says, oh, that's my insurance calling me. What's up with that? Immediately on this message, we're able to notify her that, yes, we know who you are, you're Jane, and this is who we are, and that we have an important account update because we haven't received your payment, and it's overdue. Jane is not actually trying to not pay her bill. She just happens to be using a new credit card, and she hasn't remembered to update her insurance policy, which is actually shockingly common. So quickly she says, oh shoot, I totally forgot. Well, the message is easily able to ask her to make an immediate payment, press 1 now. She presses 1, and now she's being transferred into an on-premise system. She's being fully authenticated and completing her transaction. And so working within the existing infrastructure is a key piece of a Splice success. And at the end of the day, what's most important is that Jane can say, hey, I got one less thing on my list today. Great, I didn't even remember I needed to do that, and now it's taken care of. The goal for your customer is to make their life easier and deliver greater value. And really by taking your data, tying it together, and integrating a voice strategy within your existing strategy, you can truly make that difference. So as we look at the ways to leverage technology and the approaches, you want to improve the customer service and really you want to drive bottom line. I think it was a great opening. Deb mentioned it right at the beginning. Customer experience is about creating that relationship to drive lifetime value. And so some of the statistics that we see from our customer base are things like 20% reduction in inbound calls, things like 15% increase in agent productivity, or it might be a reduction in cost in other channels. Splice is always part of an omni-channel mix and in delivering our value to our end client. And with over 100 million interactions in households across North America, we really learned how to leverage the relationship and the data to get those great results. There's a lot of different simple ways that a person can get started, whether it's a quick start that has a simple file upload. If your core system or your content management system is able to get out a CSV file, you could upload it. If your call center integration is a critical part of your delivery, that's no problem. And if you want real-time integration, that's the smoothest way to operate, and you certainly can take advantage of all those omni-channel initiatives with that structure. At the end of the day, Splice is really about making it easy, making it safe, and making it fun. And by providing a secure online portal with easy drag-and-drop infrastructure, with immediate reporting, it's really an account team that can take care of you with the right tools to do it. We have a bit of an internal thing here, no playing in the streets, and we want to make sure that you're making safe, compliant decisions with your data, with the legislation, and everything else. And perhaps most importantly, it's that work hard, play hard attitude that really helps us get the job done and make sure that while we're out there working hard together, we keep on believing it can be better and we can drive that better customer experience. So that is my part of the presentation today, and I tried to leave some time here for an answer. So I'll pass control back to you, Chelsea, and just look forward to having a chance to discuss how you can take small steps forward with Quick Start programs.
So thank you, Tara. We'd like to open the discussion up for questions now. Please type your questions in the comment box and address them to one of the panelists. We'll pause for a minute to answer those questions as they come in.
So Deb, I think we have one here, and it might be more for me than you, but Chelsea, you're seeing the same cue here. So where do we find the information to do linguistic optimization? And that's a great question. You know, it sounds great, it sounds lovely to know all this, but where the heck does this come from? So at the end of the day, this can come from multiple systems. It's a simple query or report from the insurance company itself. And so what we're going to do during our dialogue discovery and the process of linguistic optimization, we're going to determine the quality of the data, the amount of data that you have on file. So let's hypothetically say that your insurance company was built by the acquisition of 9 other companies, and during the data merge, certain fields were lost. Maybe you don't know the year that they first became a client with easy access to that info. You just happen to know the date they merged into your system. During that dialogue discovery, we would look at that and make recommendations to ensure that we're actually creating a meaningful, relevant message back. But it's normally somewhere between 5 to 15 data fields, and it's a simple CSV file or query within your existing database.
Okay, so another question for Tara. Where do you find the information to do the linguistic optimization?
Perfect. So similar questions to the one we just went through. It's within the existing systems for the insurer, and so it's something that we can get through a simple file export, and it's typically a report that you're running already, and sometimes it's just a matter of adding some additional fields to give us the opportunity to create that sentiment phrase or a more relevant call to action by adding a couple additional fields of personalization.
Great. So, Deb, this one is more directed towards you.
Okay.
Do you have any tips on getting corporate buy-in for customer engagement initiatives? It seems not to be dedicated to a specific department.
Yeah, we're absolutely seeing that dedication. We're actually seeing some new roles playing out, like Chief Customer Experience Officer, Chief Customer Officer, just like we're seeing Chief Innovation Officer. It's very difficult in very large organizations where there's life and personal lines and small commercial where we can have an enterprise view, and these roles are actually reporting up to CEOs and really driving customer experience initiatives, or at least dotted line to them.
Okay. So, Tara, how do you manage the legal compliance?
So we are not a team of lawyers here. That's probably an important thing to say. but we definitely work with lawyers in different states and in different parts of the country, and it's pretty simple. We need to ensure that we know where the data came from, and if you have a consent on file, is it really a genuine consent? And so by reviewing any of the onboarding documents that come from an organization, we're able to see what was the promise made to that customer at the time where they became your customer. And then we work together to ensure that the data are all managed with personal and privacy regulation, and of course by state. And so it's a commitment that we make in our space, and I think honestly any omni-channel or digital communication, you want to be making those commitments, whether it's voice, text, or email. It's a really important part of the journey, and it's something that we've gotten really good at.
Sounds good. So here's more of a question directed to both Tara and Deb. It seems like data collection and insights is a big driver of actionable engagement programs. Do you have any tips on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the data collection and what was the other question?
It seems like data collection and insights is a big driver of actionable engagement programs. Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, as I indicated up front, capturing the data capture of the contract information, having access to the policy and billing systems or policy billing and claim systems are essential, and also capturing customer preferences and how they want to communicate. So sending a voice message to a customer that never wants to be called via their mobile device is probably not a good thing. So, and this is a real challenge for a lot of companies that have legacy systems or processes that don't capture phone numbers. I know that I've had the same insurance contract for many, many years. They don't have my mobile device, they don't have my email, and they don't have my home phone number.
Yeah.
Tara?
Yeah, no, that's a really, really great segue. It's a great question. Part of this dialogue suite is not just in the creating of the builder, which creates the message, but it's actually something we call the dialogue controller, and that's where you're able to start collecting those preferences for the client. It's really critical. It's a really simple application. It's incredibly light. It's a hosting fee, and it ties in to your existing systems and ensures you have that data. So every single touch point that you have with a consumer is an opportunity to work towards moving to a preference-based system. And the really important thing to know is it's very different if you're getting a call because they're trying to sell you car insurance because they know that your son's turning 16, versus they're calling to tell you, yes, we actually got your claim for the accident that happened to your Audi last week, right? And so understanding the difference of marketing versus notifying and looking at where your customer engages best. And so one of the opportunities that we didn't deep dive into, but when you look at what has happened with technology with voice, and where we have some amazing patent-pending technology across North America, is listening and engaging. And so if you're reaching them on a medium that never really is engaging to them, so they listen to those messages, and I think this is one of the exciting things, if they're listening to the end of the message and they're taking the necessary action, this is a method that's working for them. Just like email, if they're clicking through and they're going through the link and everything's working, great. This customer is showing you through their actions that it's working. But if it's not, you really should work towards asking them, is there a preferred method of communication? And so one of the things we've done, when a customer maybe doesn't even have an email on file for somebody, you might ask them on the voice message, would you prefer to receive this information via email? Please leave it after the tone. And so omni-channel is becoming very real, and with it is preference. And I think there's a really great opportunity to start working towards your vision as a company, but definitely this is a space for baby steps, because most of the core systems are not built to allow every single person to receive a completely different style of communication based on their preference.
Great. Thank you for your response, Tara. So the last question for today is directed at Deb. So Deb, what are the biggest roadblocks you see in the integration of brand, value, communications, and relationships?
The biggest roadblock or challenge is it's really complex, right? It's multidimensional. It's across many departments, many different roles, many different touch points. And so just conceptually trying to understand the intersection points is a real challenge. But I would encourage everyone to start at least conceptually and start to bring it down a level and start to bring real clarity into the organizations around roles and responsibilities. As I mentioned earlier, the new customer or chief customer officer, customer experience officer, having someone at a level that sees across the enterprise and across the company and across all the silos of departments and across many lines of business is a great way to get started.
Thank you for taking that time, Deb. So that's all the time we have for the webinar today. Please look for our follow-up email that will alert you to the on-demand status of today's event so you can review any material you missed or share it with your colleagues. On behalf of myself, SMA, and our sponsor today, Splice Software, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.